Today, we're going to be going over Inventory Smart's reporting tools, which are available on your admin site. And I have logged on to the admin site now. And there are three different areas in which you can pull reports on this admin site. And that's under our Items tab, our Physical Count tab, and our Reports tab. So beginning with our Items tab, I do want to point out one thing that could be useful, which is not necessarily a report, but it's a great tool to use to see a snapshot of your on-hand quantities and many more item details, and that's our item export. So you can filter this export by department, stockroom inventory categories, inspection list categories, item name, and you can download it to an Excel document or view it on a separate browser. If you would like more details regarding this export, you can go ahead and watch that item export webinar that is posted to the app and admin site. Okay, let's begin with our history report. So this history report is one of the most used reports because of the many filters that are available. You can filter by stockroom inventory category. So you can only see transactions relating to that stockroom inventory category. Same with stockroom. If you would like to only see transactions regarding that stockroom, you can enter in a unit number to isolate what you're seeing to only that particular unit. You can enter a vendor item number or internal item number. You can enter in a reason for adjustment if you would only like to see those transactions with a particular reasoning. Say you only want to see adjustments that were received, you can choose that. You can choose to only show negative changes. So on this report, once we pull it, you'll notice that there's going to be positive adjustments and then there's going to be negative adjustments. So for example, you may have received items, which then adds inventory, and you might have deducted items for a broken reason or something as such. So if you would only like to see those negative changes, you can go ahead and hit that yes and isolate it to only that. You can enter in a date range. And if you leave this blank, it's going to go to present day, or you can enter in an end date if you wish. And then you can enter a name or a partial name of an item if you would only like to pull this report for all transactions regarding a particular item. Same thing with comment and GL code. And this is going to go for all reports. You can download it to Excel. If I click this download button, you'll see the pop-up in my left-hand corner, or you can view it on a separate browser. And it shows you the same data, it's just organized differently. And on that Excel document, it might be easier to print. It's just completely up to you on how you would like to view these reports. So with this report, it's going to show you the item details and all the transactions regarding the items, which includes the users that made the transaction and the actual transaction that took place. You'll see physical count adjustments, restock, orders, pick list adjustments, and more information on all of those item adjustments. So this is a pretty isolated report since I put in only Unit 101. And I did a pretty short date range, so it looks like I don't have too much movement, but you're going to see those item details here, that user that's associated to this transaction and the date of the transaction. And then you're going to see this old versus new column, which is relating to the quantity adjustment. So let's take a look at this cereal bowl. It looks like we once had that quantity of 81, and then it looks like we had a pick list adjustment and we depleted 2. So now our new on-hand quantity is 79. And also, if you have your costs within your account, you're going to see that adjustment cost as well that was done by this transaction. Similarly, we're going to take a look at this history summary report. And this is more of an overview or a big picture of transactions for each item. You'll notice that this report only has 2 filters, the stockroom and the date. So we can go ahead and choose a particular stockroom. We'll stick to our same date. I'm going to view it in a separate browser. And you'll see it looks a little bit different than that history report. it shows you the total transaction, so not necessarily the details pertaining to the transaction. It's more of a summary of item transactions versus the history report, which actually breaks down that transaction for you. Notice that you can also filter these columns. So if I go back to our history report, so here you are unable to filter, but you're able to choose a stockroom if you wish. But here you'll see that you have the hand function, which is telling you that you can actually click on this if you have a larger report and filter. So if I wanted to see greatest to smallest, or vice versa, if I wanted to see particular comments in a different order, you can go ahead and click that top column to see that filter or sort. Okay, now we're going to go to our end of month report. And this report lists each item's quantity on hand in the stockroom as of 11:59 p.m. on the last day of the month. So first, you're just going to select a month that you would like to see those on-hand quantities for at the end of the month. Let's go with March. And then you're going to either download it to Excel or view it in a separate browser. And it's a very simple report. You're just going to see that item name and then the quantity on hand at 11:59 on the last day of March or whatever month you so choose. It's a very good visual just to know what you had on hand. You might want to pull this monthly, or you can just pull this to see exactly what's going on from January maybe to December. Now let's take a look at our no activity report. Now, this report is used to identify items that are stagnant or haven't been used in years. I do want to note that this will not take into consideration transfers or physical counts because those do not adjust your inventory. They're not saying that you physically went in and adjusted that item. Instead, you just counted it. But this is a great report to use when wanting to clean house and see what items may not be in use for you anymore, or you may want to be able to update these items if you even forgot they were on those accounts. So let's take a look at something from maybe my account in 2020 and see if I have any items. It looks like all of my items have been used then. Nope, wrong date. We'll do that. And see. Okay, great. So it looks like here are 3 items that have had no activity from 2020 up until present day. So you can use this information to either make sure that all of this data is still relevant, such as vendor item number or your internal item numbers, the costs, and you can also see that quantity on hand as well here. And finally, we're going to go to this quantity in units report. And this is based on your inspection types. So if you do not have inspections or you don't use inspections, this report will not be relevant to you. But for those that do use inspections, this report is going to list the current quantities of items within your units. So you can filter this out by an item name, a vendor item number, and an internal item number if you would like to get very specific on that item. Looks like, let's take an example of this mop. And it looks like across all my inspection types has an on-hand quantity of 32 within my units. And this report calculates the cost of that item quantity within your units. So if you use inspections, this is a good visual representation of what you have without having to necessarily walk throughout and count yourself. We're going to move on now to our reporting tool that is available to us under this physical count tab. Now, this physical count tab has a report called discrepancies, and that's going to be underneath this tab here. And I do want to point out, you are able to see discrepancies if you have a physical count that is just been completed. So if I had a physical count that was still open and active and I haven't approved it yet, you can then scroll down to whatever stockroom was then counted, and you'll see those discrepancies percentages here, but in a more broad visual. The discrepancies report breaks it down into a little bit more detail regarding what happened and a little bit more item description. So from here, you're able to choose one, and you can view it online or export it and just see one physical count and see those discrepancies reports. Or you're able to choose multiple if you would like to see multiple physical counts at a time. You can do that as well. So let's do all of 524. So you're going to see all of the item details and the physical count information. The system count is what you had. So we're going to look way over here. So here's all of our normal item details and our cost of the item. Also, this quantity and case is good to note. The user who's associated to this physical count. If you have a department set up, that'll be here as well. But one of my favorite parts here is this system count versus our physical count. So the system count is what you had in the system prior to taking the physical count. And then there's the physical count itself that just took place. So the discrepancy, which is here, is the percentage of the difference between the system count and the physical count. And you'll also see the quantity of the count difference along with the cost difference between the two. Many people like to see the discrepancies to make sure the count was accurate. And note this section here will be visible after you complete a physical count on that first page that I showed you. But then you also can see that count difference here, the cost difference, the extended physical count cost. So it has a bit more details regarding that action. All righty. Lastly, we're going to go to our reports tab, and this is where most of the data is stored. There's a ton of information here that you can use to pull data. And we're going to start with our messaging, which I'm on right now. And this messaging report relates to the message module on that app site. So remember that messaging is isolated to your Inventory Smart account, and it can be used for internal communication. So you can also filter this out by date, and you can show messages that have not been completed. So if you don't want to see messages that have already been taken care of, you can go ahead and check this off and only see those open messages or non-completed messages if you wish. All right, so once I pull this report, this one's a little shorter. I want to show one with pictures. So let's go to 2020 up until now. Great. So, and you can see again, I can organize any of these as I see fit. And you're going to notice that we have the date of the message, the from user, so who the message was from and who the message was to, and then what the message was. And if there was a unit number associated to this message, it will show up here. And it's also going to tell you if that message has been completed or if it's still open. So that was that little check button that you can check on or off if you would like to only view open orders. So let's filter this out. Only our open orders. Great. Then you can see when the message was completed and who it was completed by and those associated notes. And know that on these messaging, you can also attach a photo. So let's say you had a stain on a couch, you're able to take a picture of that and upload it to the message if you wish. And then you have the option to see if this was a work order or not a work order. All right, let's go to our inspection activity. So our inspection activity is one of those reports that are only relevant to those who use inspections. So again, if you don't use that inspection module, this will not pertain to you. But the inspection activity report provides details relating to a unit inspection. So here you can enter in a date range to isolate the information you wish. And then here you're going to see a few things that are relevant, being as the started user, and these elapsed times it takes to complete these inspections. So for example, we're going to look here at this unit 10. It looks like Taylor started this inspection, and this is when she started it, the start time. And it was also completed by the same user, and it gives us our completed time. And it'll also give you that elapsed time. So let's find one with a longer elapsed time. So it looks like this one took 6 minutes to complete. And then again, the inspection is a 3-step process. So you do the inspection, you need to pick the item, and then you need to restock that item back into the unit. So it also gives you the information of who restocked and how long it took to restock those items. And then if you scroll over, you're able to see your, if it was a work order or what items were work ordered items. Also note, you have the same area to enter in those pictures and those notes like we did on that messaging. And then you're going to see the items associated to this transaction. So you'll see in parentheses, for example, this says need 2. So you can see those quantities that were requested through the inspection. Okay, now we're going to go to our item restocking report. And this is another report that's useful for those using inspections. It provides details related to item restocking from unit inspections. So you can filter this report by not only date, but also item name or partial name. So I'll go ahead and enter in a name of an item. And then we'll go ahead and view this. You'll see the restocked unit and the item name, vendor, item details. Then you're going to see that user that is associated to this transaction or restocking, the date of the restocking, the quantity that was restocked, and make sure you're looking at that unit of measure as well, and then the item cost. So for example, it looks like our blender here had a restocked quantity of 1, and that item cost $82, and it was for unit 100. Alrighty. Now we're going to take a look at our item requests and returns. Now this report provides details related to item requests and returns, which is found, I'll give you a quick reminder, on the app site under our stockroom count. Once you enter into a stockroom, you can hit that adjust button and then scroll down and you'll see this item request and returns field. Now that field is useful when someone is borrowing an item and you're expecting it to be returned. So to pull the report, you can go ahead and enter in that date range. You can also choose to only show requests that have not been returned yet. Let's view it. It's going to show you those item details, the person who is associated to that item request, what unit it was requested for, the amount that was borrowed, who it was borrowed by, and when it's expected to be returned. So we'll see here that this portable crib by John it was expected to be returned in 3/30/2022. It has not been returned yet. Although our popcorn has been returned, and it gives us our returned date and who it was returned by. Our unit item requests, this is based on our new unit item request module, and the report's going to show you details relating to transactions using that module. So again, we can only filter by our date here. We're going to view it, and it's going to show us our item or our details regarding this transaction, such as the unit number that this request was for. We're also going to see the type. If you remember on your new unit item request, you can say whether it was a guest request or a non-guest request. Who was the user that submitted this request and what time? And then just like the inspections, this is a 3-step process. You have the request, then you must pick the requested items and then restock it back into the unit. So again, the system is going to show you that restocked time and the elapsed time it took to do this entire transaction. Then you're going to see those items associated and you're going to see what quantity was requested for that particular item and unit. Let's move on to our stock order history. And this is to view the history of the stockroom orders that have been placed. So you'll see there's several filters you may use to pull this report. You can choose a vendor if you would only like to see particular orders for one vendor. You can enter in a PO number if you would only like to pull a report for that particular PO number. You can enter in this posted date and posted end date. And this, as you remember, the stockroom orders, once it's approved, if you have that approval turned on, you go ahead, will post it, or you'll post it to the vendor. And what that does is it then sends all that data onto your app site for it then to be received in. So if you like to just see when it was posted, you can filter by that. Or if you would like to see when it was received on the app site, you can go ahead and enter in that data here. You can also choose to filter this report out by only open orders. So if you don't want to see any of your orders that are already closed, you can go ahead and just see those open orders by hitting this yes button here. All right. So here, since I didn't click off that only see open orders, I'm going to see my closed and open orders. And again, I can filter this. And we're going to see the order number to the far left-hand side. If you have your PO numbers or your vendor accounts in, when this order was created, order posted date, and whom it was posted by. And we're going to go to some closed. And then you're going to see who it was received by and the date it was received. Your GL codes if you have those in. And then it also is going to show you those costs associated to the order. So for example, if I ordered 2 of something and I only received in 1, it will give you that cost difference of what you ordered versus what was received into your account. Looks like we ordered our full shipment of 2 here. You're also going to see those order notes and item notes if relevant. And now we're going to go to our deletion log. Now, this is a super simple but great report to use if you notice that something on your account has gone missing, such as stock rooms, items, stockroom orders. You can actually see what has disappeared and when it disappeared and whom deleted it. So if we want to go ahead and put in a date range, let's see. You'll see here, it'll tell us the type, and this type is telling you what was deleted. So it looks like this was an inspection that was deleted. This was an item that was deleted. You can also see a unit item request or stockroom category that was deleted, the deleted date, who deleted the aspect of your account, and then some identifying information here. So it looks like, for example, it just gives you a little bit more details regarding this transaction. So a unit item request for our room 100 looks like it was deleted by Taylor on 5/11. Our monthly inventory report, it takes a snapshot of each item's stockroom quantity on hand on the last day of every month at 11:59 p.m. So you can see that you can filter this out by your turns for the month. You can choose this month that you would like to see. You can do a year if you wish, a department if you want to isolate it to that, an item name or number if you would like to filter that out. And then you'll notice that this report is summarizing on a monthly basis your total inventory costs. So the quantity and the dollar amount of items that were received, discarded, and restocked into the units, as well as any items that needed to be reordered. So you can filter this report by those 4 filters if you wish, or you can go ahead and pull a large amount of that data by a particular month though. So do choose a month that you would like to see. And then you'll also notice here that there are several headers with descriptions, and it's going to give you that calculation breakdown for you of how this was all calculated out. So we keep going over, you'll see a lot of the costs associated, the variances, some of your usage, which is your last month's stockroom end of month quantity, purchased quantity, and then your end of month or count differences. There's a lot of information on this report to look through, so I would recommend taking a look at all these columns. Now let's go to our unit item history report. And our unit item history report shows billed and unbilled item activity. And this is going to be tied to units. So if something breaks within a unit and you would like to bill someone, this is going to track what was billed. So we can go ahead and filter this out by unit, by date, and by name or partial name again. Once we pull the report, let's see some items that have been billed recently. It's a large amount of data, so let's shrink it down. Go here. And then we'll see the area with all of our item descriptions. We're also going to see our current cost. And then you're going to see the unit number associated to this, the quantity adjusted, and then if it's going to be billed to someone, you're going to see that quantity to be billed and then the amount that is going to be billed. Looks like I have not billed anyone, which is great. Okay, let's go to our monthly point of sale report. This one I'm not going to go over in a lot of detail because you might have some other reports turned on for your account that are specific to your operation that I may not have gone over today. And this is one of them. So this is specific because if you have the retail function turned on, this will show you your monthly point of sale. If you don't have it turned on, don't worry about it. And also if you have more reports that I have not gone over today, go ahead and reach out to me and we'll get into further details regarding those specific reports. We have our laundry report, and this report is based off the laundry module on the app site as well. You can use the laundry module to track your laundry statuses, weights, and variances. And this report is pretty much going to compare what bins you've sent out and make sure that you know what you've returned back to you. So let's go ahead, enter in a start date. And we'll see here the weight variances for bins. You'll also see your piece count variances, your soiled weight, your bin weight, bin numbers, the date out versus the date in. So it's keeping you, it's tracking what you put out versus what you've gotten in, and then all of those associated variables. So this will track your piece count, weight, and your laundry bins. And last but not least, we're going to go over the expiration batches report. And the expiration batches was recently updated. So we can then see those expiration batches on the pick list as well. So you can have an expiration date on particular items, such as maybe a granola bar or things that you would like to keep track of those expirations to make sure that nothing has gone bad of your inventory. You can enter in the dates, the item name or number, and you can also choose to sort this out by only items that have expired, that are expired items, so expiration batches that have expired. And if you pull this report, you're going to see the stockroom that it's in, the item name, the expiration date, your batch number, and then you're going to see the quantity within the batch, your vendor item number, and internal item number. So here, if I chose to choose an item that was only expired, it looks like my account, something looks like expired. Let's go ahead and check this off. Great. So it looks like these 3 items are expired. So maybe I should move them out of my inventory and fulfill them with a new batch. Okay, and that completes our reporting webinar. If you would like more details regarding any of the reports on your Inventory Smart account, or like I said, any specialized reports that may be on your account that I didn't go over today, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and your Inventory Smart team. Thank you.